And if you look at the preponderance of clubs and sporting activities in the state, it's mostly in Abia and Omai. You can't compare it with what is happening in Ohio or elsewhere. So with the bidding process, don't you think that qualified clubs or investors who are ready may be eliminated in the bidding process? I'm thinking of those who are in Omai and Abia, which are the major areas for sporting activities. I don't know if you understand my question.
I understand. So let me start with your question. Again, let me use the idea of media markets because that is how the map of sports is usually spread out. And this time I will use cricket. It used to be that the largest cricketing nations were Australia, South Africa, and England. Yeah. Until India realized that they had over 1 billion people. Today, the BCCI determines what happens in cricket. When they are playing the IPL, nobody is playing Test cricket. Nobody is playing ODI or T20 anywhere else. The cricket world is shut down for 2 months. Bring it back home. It's not where your club is based that brings development to it. If your club is based in Arujuku, for instance, max 3 hours, you are in Abia, and probably 2 hours, you are in Umuahia, depending on where you have a home match. And you can return on the same day. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's such that where you play is actually irrelevant, and you don't need to develop a stadium for yourself. The government is providing the stadium for you. All you have to do is manage your team, share revenue with the government, and everybody. If you decide to build your own stadium so people will come there, the size of the market, that's when you have a problem. It will no longer be economical for you. To an example that everybody probably knows here, St. James's Park is one of the largest stadiums in the UK. And unfortunately, it's also one of the oldest. They are trying to refurbish it, and the question is, how many people come to the Northeast to watch football apart from the local fans there? Meaning, can you use the stadium for anything else? So we need to put these factors into consideration. But again, the good thing is that, the new rule now says FIFA World Cup final will be played in a stadium 80,000 and the semi-finals will be played in a stadium of 60,000. But are you going to wait for 4 years? So, sports infrastructure is gone beyond football. You look at Taylor Swift, how many clubs, even FA Cup, doesn't pack that kind of crowd? People that came to watch Taylor Swift. Man City is expanding the theater that is next to the Etihad for concerts. So these are the things we need to bear in mind. And so, if you build an infrastructure like a stadium just because you're a club owner, within this market, this is a small market. It's not like, say, London, where you have 8 or 9 clubs in the Premiership and they're all far apart simply because of the population. We can do that in Abia, but you'll be shocked that even if you have 2 or 3 stadiums in this town, they may be underutilized. There's a lot we can do with what we have. And then to your question, madam, well, I don't know what to say. I didn't come to Abia State because it is my home state, but the business case led us here. And so let me give this example. You have to talk about the liquidity of the investors. And behaviorally, the research says that you become an apprentice, let's say 16 years, you do your apprenticeship 10 years, and you're okay. You don't borrow money, you are given some goods, and you are given a shop in the best cases, and so you have a good startup platform. By the time you're 25, you build your own house in Abia. By the time you're 30, you build your own house in the village. Then what happens next? As you get older, fatigue sets in. You don't want your children to go through the training cycle that you went to, so they go to university and they don't want to be part of the trade. And then your boys grow up and take market share from you. And then that downward decline starts. And we are saying to them that at your peak powers, you can invest in sports. It gives you something to keep the talent that you have invested in your children here. Instead of, I can imagine myself, if there are 9 clubs that are reasonably successful with all the media infrastructure that follows clubs and all the kids sponsorship, if I studied mass communication or anything remotely related to management, I'll sit back. This is the only thing that takes you global. I sit back and I want to be a Formula 1 staff going to 24 countries. That's the stuff of dreams. It happens in sports. And so part of what we're trying to do is to retain the talent that we lose every year as graduates leaving this state. Not just this state anyway. I read in the news that Lagos was approaching 32 million. Wow, come on. The flood there nearly carried everybody last time. So there are great things economically in this state. And we've looked at the indices. We have the number 7 highest per capita income, $5,200 in this state. Our GDP is the 27th largest, but our per capita income is. And so let me tell you what happens. A lot of people don't realize it. What happens to all that liquidity that you save? They mop it up and lend it to organizations in the Southwest. So that's one reason why we've chosen here. And also the rich history of the state in sports. It's very easy for me to sell football, because we are talking football. To sell football because what comes to everybody's mind is Abia. Probably the club with the best history in recent times. So that's a marketing advantage for me, as opposed to going to Jigawa State. Yes, there's Jigawa Golden Stars, but then what? Or you can go to Ibadan Shooting Stars. And it's, let's face it, it's easier to negotiate some of the things we are negotiating when you are closer home.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I mean, look, the idea of sports as a business, to me personally, and I've managed to convince a couple of my partners why. This is all I've known how to do. But it just happened that it's not like technology where you can be a whiz kid and develop something overnight. You need diverse knowledge. You need to know the sports. You need to know finance. You need to know marketing. You also need to know media. And eventually you need to have the energy. Right. And so all these things I tried. In 2000, I actually started promoting sports in 2007. It was table tennis incidentally, where we produced our own quadri, and we held a couple of other times. But I always knew that I wanted to scale. And you don't scale until you get to the king of sports, which is football. Every other thing is just by the side. It's an ancillary. They are important, but it's just an ancillary. And so to prove yourself, you have to understand business, and you have to understand the hierarchy of decision making. Let me explain. I can sit in Lagos and keep going to NFA or MPF, what was that their name? NFF, and keep going to their office, trying to play at a national level. But through knowledge, you understand the division of power between federal and states. Not only that, you understand the difference between the FA and the ministry. It's not by chance that we are putting under the Ministry of Sport and Youth Development. So what you actually call the Super League is a youth development initiative. which is far removed from FA, it's far removed from MPFL. You understand? So I needed to develop all of this knowledge. And when I now felt that the knowledge was complete, that is when I now reached out to my partners and I told them it is time to try it out, let's do it big time. I've been around international organizations, I've known how to organize, I've also been a bit in finance, I've been in marketing, I've been in technology. All these things are what makes the modern sports organization. However, it is not our intention to run sports clubs and teams. No, we want to stay in the realm of, if we could find a model that represents us, it is Endeavor. We are modeled after Ari Emmanuel's company, Endeavor, the owners of TKO, which is all UFC and WWE, and a couple of other things. They also own IMG, the people that produce the Premiership and all of that. So we are not modeled after Sky, we are not modeled after Comcast, we are modeled after Endeavor. And so that's the value proposition. And coming this way, this was the first place we could find land that we could afford. If we try to buy this kind of land in Lagos, and also we needed a place that was accessible. Yes, there's no airport yet in this state, but we are surrounded. I mean, it's almost, if you say a good distance is distance, I don't know what time is. It almost takes you the same time to go to Umuahia, Owerri, Port Harcourt, Ikotepe. You are just so near, and that is crucial for the supply of talent. And then, of course, we have a wealthy community here. So this experiment or this project is probably in good hands. And I also like the town. I grew up here.
Oh, thank you.
I know time is fast, but I just ask